Hello and welcome back. I've still got a sore throat, so I'm still a bit croaky, but I wanted to get this video up. This weekend I had a go at making a mug bag, and I used a pattern from Red Brolly, and this is the pattern that I downloaded, and it's a little bag to put a cup in, you know, for work with tea bags and things like that. I thought it's lovely, it'd be lovely sitting on my desk. So I had a go at the pattern, and you can see in the video now that I'm cutting out some bee fabrics. I've got these fat quarters that I got from the range in near where I live, and I thought, right, they will make a nice mug, a bag. That's hard to say. And I've also got a bee theme in the kitchen, so that's why I had this fabric. So the pattern tells you that you want fat quarter for the outer casing, lining, handle and inner pocket. And then you'll need a contrasting lining. So you'll need a rectangle of 6 by 18. So I've got my pieces of fabric here and I'm ironing them. I've speeded the video up a little bit so you don't have to spend the whole 11 minutes watching me iron. So you need a 7" by 17 inches for the inner bag, the same for the contrast fabric, and then a 12 by the width of the fabric of fusible interfacing. Now I didn't have the fusible interfacing, but I had that foam interfacing that I get, that I buy for when I'm doing the Annie bags, and that's quite thick. So I had some of that and I used that. You also need some thinner batting. Again, I just used that thicker stuff. Some satin ribbon and a button. I'm going to have a go at either using some Velcro or a snap on mine. So I've cut out 2 here because I quite like cutting out, and you know, if I've got the pattern ready and I've got the fabric, I'm gonna just carry on and cut out a couple. So it explains, you know, that you need to cut out 5.5 by 17.5 inches for the outer casing. Cut 2 of those. Make your contrast lining, which is again 5.5 by 17.5, and then the inner pocket. There's a small pocket for you know, like putting a tea bag in or sugar or something like that. And then the handles, which is 4 by 7.5, and the inner pocket was 4.5 by 8. And then you fuse the interfacing, or what I did, and you'll see it later on in the video, I actually sewed the interfacing onto my fabric so that it wouldn't move around. Now in the pattern you get a template to round off the edges of your bag, so as the front of the bag it looks nice. So you get that. So of course there's a lot of measuring and rule. You need pencils and rulers, or a pen and a ruler. But I think the instructions are quite easy. I'm a little bit sort of like, I just get on with it rather than read all the instructions. But I made the bag, and what I found with the bag was that it was a bit small for some of my cups. So I'm now looking for another pattern that's a little bit bigger. Not only do you make the cover, the outside cover, but you make the little bag, the little pocket to put your cup in as well. So that's all self-explanatory on there. I did use the pattern for this, and I struggled a little bit because on the opening I didn't leave a gap at the bottom to turn it inside out, and I tried to do it at the top, but then when I tried to do a nice neat line of stitching, it didn't work, so I did have to unpick it for that. So you can see I'm like continuously going back to the instructions and cutting out and making sure I've got the right size. So making the handles as well was quite tricky, which you'll see a bit later on the recording. So what I do is I iron every piece. So for instance, I've ironed the handle, so I know exactly how to sew it and where to sew it. So it's all creased in the right way and then pinned. And then I'm able then to, you know, continuously sew and sew quite quickly. And again, all my pieces are cut out, all my patterns are cut out. And then as you can see in the video there, I've sewn around the edge, all the way around the edge of 2 pieces of fabric and the foam inside. So I did it with one piece first, and then I fold over and do the second piece. And I think halfway through this, I'd forgotten to do the curve. I'd forgotten to do the curve of the front of the bag and had to go back. So I think that's what I'm doing here, going around the curve. It's really hard to video when you're using the sewing machine and make sure you're staying camera. So that's something that I'll work on for the future. So I turned that all in the right way, and then just did an edging sew all the way around the edge to neaten it off as well. And this is the bag, and this is where I was struggling with the top of the bag. So I undid it and did it again, and put a slit in the side, at the bottom actually, because I wasn't happy with that top bit. It looked too untidy. And again, this is putting the handle on. So I put a little bit of foam inside the handle as well to give it a little bit of strength, and then sort of was testing out how it was going to sit, and how the little bag was going to sit inside. And this cup here is a little bit tight to go in there, but I found a smaller cup that goes in really well. But this cup does work, but I don't know if I like the look of it being stretched across the fabric. But it worked. And then it goes inside the bag, and then the pocket goes in behind, and then either do Velcro or snaps at the, you know, with the cover, and then take it to work. So yeah, there was quite a lot of playing about with it, but it was the first one. I always think the first one is like a prototype, but I was pleased with it, and it looked really nice. And I'll have to take it to work once I've put the Velcro on, or the fasteners. Take it to work and show it off, and then maybe get some orders. So thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the videos.